Why are salary negotiations so incredibly hard? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of reasons why salary negotiations are very, very hard for women in leadership and also for men in leadership. And this that I'm explaining to you is going to help you think a little bit differently about your next salary negotiation that you may be taking care of or being a part of this upcoming year. Now, I want to say this: salary negotiations do not have to be difficult. They are actually, in my opinion, they're fun. It's very fun to me, and I want to hopefully share with you some of my enthusiasm that I have about salary negotiations. But it's important for you and I to have a solid foundation as to why they're so uncomfortable for us as leaders. Now, you absolutely want to watch this video until the end because I'm sharing with you over 20 years worth of experience as a C-suite executive, a director, and a manager, and a public speaker that will help you be able to do very well on your next salary negotiation and hopefully help you to gain more income. This is a live video, therefore there's a point in time when the audience will start to join. Give me a few moments so I can say hello to everyone, and then we're going to go into why salary negotiations are so hard for leaders so that you have a greater depth of insight on this topic. I want to say hello to Abraham P2222. Welcome back, Abraham. How are you doing today? Abraham says, hey, excited to see you. Well, I'm excited to see you back here, friend. And welcome back. Glad that you decided to come back and visit the channel. Let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you are joining from today. And if you've ever felt a little uncomfortable about salary negotiation, we're going to talk about it today. And I'm going to share with you the common reasons why women in leadership and also men in leadership tend to feel just very uncomfortable about salary negotiations. I'll go into it a bit more as it relates to women in leadership as well, because this is something that we do struggle with quite a bit also. So whether you're a woman in leadership, man in leadership, you're going to learn a lot of good information in this video today. Okay, so why do people struggle with salary negotiations? Why do salary negotiations feel so uncomfortable? Have you ever been in a salary negotiation that caused you to feel uncomfortable? Have you? Put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Let's come up with some strategies for you today. There's a couple of reasons why salary negotiations feel so incredibly uncomfortable for leaders. And I'm going to go over these very quickly because I want to hear from you. What has made you feel uncomfortable about salary negotiations so that I can help you do very well in this role? This can help you whether you are working as a W-2, perhaps you are starting your business and you're having to negotiate contracts and etc. This information will change your life. So you absolutely want to stay tuned and subscribe to the channel if you like this information so far. I want to say hello to Henry Hun, I believe. K3E says, WSP, hope you're doing well today, Henry. Thank you for stopping by. And for those of you watching, let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you are joining from today. And if you've ever struggled with salary negotiations, today is your day not to struggle with this topic anymore, especially if you are a leader. We have DNMUPLO. Let's see. Hold on. Let me. I think I got your name now. This DNM Upload SYT. Hello. How you doing today? We have Desti Sanusi 5068. Hope you're doing well today. Let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you all are joining from today. And have you ever struggled with salary negotiations? Do they make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable? That's what we're talking about today. Let me know. And if you like this content so far, feel free to give it a thumbs up. It does allow the information to get out to more people in YouTube. Let's start. Now, there's a couple reasons why people feel uncomfortable with salary negotiations. I'm going to highlight just a few today. There's a lot more that I can share. You let me know what you have felt when you went through a salary negotiation. Before I go into that, I want to say hello to Sammy Z2R3V. Hello, Sammy. How are you doing today? We have Youssef Ubork. Hopefully I said it correct. Hope you're doing well today. And yes, so we have Desti Sanusi 5068 says Sammy and you. Okay, awesome. Lime Gang 5656. Hello, how you doing today? All right, so salary negotiations. Have you ever struggled with it? Let's talk about it. And let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you are joining from. The reason, and I'm going to go fundamental, the basics. This is basic information for whether you are a woman in leadership in my direct target audience I provide executive coaching and consulting services to, or you are a man in leadership, or you're someone that's not a leader just yet, but you're trying to learn a little bit more about it. This is fundamental for everybody, okay? We're all going to be on the same playing field. One of the reasons, and I'm going to share with you at least 3 today. One of the reasons why people really struggle, leaders really struggle with salary negotiations is because we are uncomfortable talking about money. We are very uncomfortable talking about money. Why is that? Depending on where you were raised and what environment you have lived in, money may be a topic that you are not comfortable talking about. What I have seen happen, and I actually had a conversation about this with an individual earlier today. They were in the process of wanting to negotiate their salary, but they didn't feel comfortable doing so because they were a little bit concerned about what to say and etc. But what it came down to in terms of the level of discomfort they had is because they were not comfortable talking about money. And sometimes what can happen, we bring those mindsets, those misconceptions, those perceptions, I would say, that we have about money into a salary negotiation. Therefore, what happens is when we are in a setting, and sorry, my kids are back there doing whatever they're doing, but whatever we bring into the salary negotiation, we're bringing in our own mindsets, our own perceptions about it as well. And what occurs is that we don't feel comfortable talking about money in general. Therefore, we do not feel comfortable about talking about our salaries and negotiating our salary as well. This is something that comes up so many times for leaders. And one way you can overcome this is to think about money a bit differently. Money is something that is a tool for you to have the life and to live the life that you are wanting to have, take care of your family, take care of yourself, or etc. Therefore, think of it as a way to help you be able to help other people. Many of you watching this channel, and hello, Dario Rodriguez, hope you're doing well today. Many of you watching the channel today want to do amazing things in the world. That's why you're here. My videos are specifically for a certain type of very intelligent, ambitious individual that wants to elevate how they communicate confidently and concisely under pressure. And I know that's you. And that means that there's a lot of other things that you are trying to accomplish in your life. How can you do those things if you do not have the funds to do it? Therefore, feel a bit more comfortable speaking about money if you start thinking about that big vision. What's the big goal that you're trying to accomplish in your life, in this world? And how can this particular position help you to get there in the interim time? Now, the next reason why people struggle with salary negotiations, and I somewhat alluded to this first initially, and for those of you watching, welcome. People struggle with salary negotiations, one, because they're not comfortable talking about money. I could talk about that quite a bit, but this is just an overview today. If you like this information, subscribe to the channel, of course, and learn more. Now, the next reason why people struggle with salary negotiations is because they are uncomfortable, very, 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 very uncomfortable having a difficult conversation. So what do I mean specifically by that? Salary negotiations themselves, let me know if you've ever experienced this. It tends to be a challenging conversation. There is a bit of tension there between you and the recruiter or you and the hiring manager. There's a bit of tension that's there. And as leaders, sometimes we know what to do in those very challenging situations, but then sometimes we simply don't know what to do. And what occurs? We are not able to negotiate our salary the way that we'd like to, and we accept a role where we're doing whatever it is, specifically the role that you're looking for. Maybe you're negotiating a contract and you're doing all this work and you feel as if, why did I not negotiate my salary? Not being comfortable with challenging conversations is something that is very, very, very important for you to realize that could be a reason why you are struggling and feel very uncomfortable with salary negotiations. Let me know in the comments below if you have ever been in a salary negotiation and you felt a bit of tension there. Let me know, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. Have you ever felt a bit of tension in salary negotiations? Have you? I personally have. And I'll give you a story that happened to me. I know I've shared this before, but I will go over it very, very quickly for you all in terms of that tension that you feel. I've shared with you many times over the years, I've been in different salary negotiations. And there's always a point where there's a little bit of tension there, and you're not quite sure what is the other person thinking. Are they going to give me the job, or etc. Well, there was a time many, many years ago where I was initially starting my journey as a professional. I had just graduated from undergraduate at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And I was in the process of trying to go into my career role at that time, which was to be a forensic DNA analyst and work for the FBI. That's all I wanted to do. Obviously, God had other plans for me because I did not do that at all. But at that time, I learned my lesson about negotiating salaries. And one of the things that came up for me personally during that time period is that I was already at a place where I did not negotiate my salary. I learned my lesson, and I decided to make sure that I would negotiate my salary very aggressively moving forward. To give you a bit of backstory, specifically what happened and then how I understood that tension that happens with salary negotiations, the role that I had applied for initially when I graduated from undergraduate was a role at a DNA sequencing laboratory. And when I went to have a conversation with the hiring manager and they asked me a question about the famous question everybody asks you, what salary do you want to have in this role? What do you want to be paid? I said, as a person that was not experienced, what are you offering? And they gave me my salary. And I said, oh, thank you. I'm so excited to start here on Monday. I'm so excited. And I took the job. After I'd worked at that job for a couple of months, I found out that there were other people, other men that I was working with at the time that did not have a college degree, that were making more than I was making, but they did not have that level of experience either. And that's when I learned a bit more about salary negotiations and why, as women, we tend to struggle with them because we're just not sure of how to navigate these discussions. So fast forward, I'm sorry I hit my light by staying here. Fast forward a couple months, I would say almost close to 6 months later, I decided that I wanted to go into forensics, and I was looking for opportunities to help me be able to advance in my career. I found a job opportunity to work as a DNA analyst, ended up being a DNA lab technician for a forensics company. And when I had the conversation, and this was via phone, this is many decades ago now. When I had the conversation with the hiring manager asked me the question I told you that was asked to me before. What type of salary are you looking for? Instead of me saying, what are you offering? I gained from my mistake, and I want you all not to make this mistake. I said, what salary is appropriate? What salary are you offering for someone with my level of expertise? And I stayed silent. This tension that happens in a salary negotiation can work to your advantage if you become very comfortable with it. Now, if you happen to be a woman in leadership and you are wondering, well, how can I just become comfortable with silence so that I can use this as leverage to help me communicate at a higher level than my peers, to help me to gain more income, to help me to be able to be more visible and have a bigger influence on other people, then contact me for a strategy session in the description below. Let's talk about it, and I will show you how to do that. Now, if you happen not to be in the target audience of women in leadership, I'm going to share with you why silence is so important. First, I want to say there's a lot of videos on my live tab here that talk about silence, being quiet, and etc. So take a moment to look at some of those videos because it will give you some insight too. However, when you're in a salary negotiation, being comfortable with challenging situations requires you to be able to pause and be silent and be very comfortable with it, because most people, and I mean most people, take it from me, most people are not comfortable with silence. They're not. It's an awkward feeling that makes people feel what? Uncomfortable, which is why salary negotiations can be uncomfortable. So what happened? asked the hiring manager, what type of salary are you offering for someone with my level of expertise? And he told me they were offering 30, I think at that time it was $32,000 a year for the role. I believe it was 32,000, somewhere in the low 30s. And he said, what are your thoughts about that? And I said, well, that's interesting because I make that now. And I stayed silent the entire time. I could tell he was uncomfortable, and he probably wasn't expecting me to say that back to him. And so I stayed silent. And when he didn't respond in a moment, I said, what else are you able to offer me outside of this? And stay silent. I was comfortable having a difficult conversation. And I share this with you because this was very early on in my career after I learned my lesson about not negotiating my salary. But what happened? Guess what? I had a higher salary. I ended up making, I think it was around about like $37,000 or somewhere around there. Somewhere like 37, 38 or so. And that is how I became who I am today in terms of how aggressive I am with negotiating salaries. Because at that time, for me, as someone just graduated from college, that was a big deal for me. Now, fast forward many decades later, that is not so much of a big deal. I would do a lot more than that. But this is why being comfortable having challenging conversations will benefit you tremendously if you are feeling a bit uncomfortable with salary negotiations. Now, there's many videos on my live channel, on my live tab here on my channel, that talk about difficult conversations, controlling your emotions under pressure, how to change your tone of voice, and etc. I will not go into all that today, but there's a lot of information here to help you feel a bit more comfortable with challenging situations. Now, my third and final strategy I want to share with you, or insight rather, I want to let you know about as it relates to why leaders feel so uncomfortable with salary negotiations, is that many of us, whether we are women in leadership and men in leadership, we are not taught how to negotiate our salaries. That is number 3. We have to be taught how to do this. One of the biggest questions that I receive from women and from men that are leaders, they ask me, how do I negotiate my salary? What do I say? How do I say it? When do I say it? Have you ever felt that way? Let me know in the comments below if you've ever felt that way. This is what is most commonly said to me by many people, and this is over the past 20 years, and this has been the same. Even though there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that talk about how to negotiate your salary, I'm letting you know, everyone, that there comes a point in time when you have to lean into someone else. There's only but so much myself as a content creator, as a business owner, and other people can tell you what to do as it relates to salary negotiation. There comes a point in time where you just need someone to just focus in on you specifically, which is why if you're a woman in leadership, you reach out to me and I will help you be able to do that. But as I mentioned, a lot of times we're not taught how to do it. Now, I will share with you on my channel specifically, I share with you strategies that a lot of times people do not talk about. I have a masterclass that specifically talks about salary negotiation on my website at www.exciteexcellence.org. I also have a free, I would say, longer video on my recorded videos here on my YouTube channel that talks more about salary negotiations also. Negotiate Your Salary Like a Boss is what the title is, I believe, because I recorded a long time ago. But there's a lot of live videos here I have also that talk about salary negotiations. Now, as I mentioned, there's only but so much I can share with you because you have your own specific challenges. You have your own specific obstacles. You have your own specific limiting beliefs as it relates to your salary. And I can only help you uncover that in an executive coaching type of session, or if we're doing a consultation, I can help you there. But sometimes you just have to get support from someone and invest in yourself. I've done this many times over the years. And when you are stuck and you're not happy with your salary in terms of where it is and why aren't you making more money, Sometimes you simply need to change roles or change industries, but then sometimes you just need someone to guide you through the process. I do this with my clients that are women in leadership. Many of them have been able to negotiate multiple six-figure salaries by us working together. And if you're at a point where you really want to go to that next level and not only negotiate your salary better, but learn how to communicate confidently and concisely under pressure, this is by far the absolute best channel for you to join and subscribe to here on YouTube. I'm sharing with you knowledge. Now, why specifically do women struggle with this? Let's talk about this briefly. Women struggle with salary negotiations because we are still relatively new to some of these more senior level type of positions, specifically C-suite, senior VPs, business owners, and etc. We are new to some of these roles, and we already come into some of these roles being the only woman, or maybe being one of two women, or one of three, or a few women in a position. Therefore, we are not sure, if I negotiate the salary, are they going to take the job away from me? If I negotiate the salary, are they going to make my salary lower? And these are some of the real challenges that women leaders face as it relates to salary negotiations. Sometimes we just don't feel comfortable saying what we're worth. We're worth thousands and thousands and millions of dollars. You're really worth more than any job can provide to you. And yes, I did say that. But if you're working in a role or you're negotiating a contract and you're a business owner, you understand that sometimes as women leaders, this can be a bit challenging because we are already in situations where we're still relatively new in these roles, or not necessarily fully new, but maybe we are new to the positions we're in where they're actually seeing a woman in a role. I can say for myself, in many of the roles that I have been in the past, I'm one of the first women dentists that I have been able to be to some of my patients when I was practicing as a dentist. I have patients that were in their 80s, in their 90s that would tell me, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen a woman dentist in my life. And sometimes this happens in this way. So you want to present yourself as that very articulate, very concise, very much in control, and very much like an executive when you are definitely trying to negotiate your salary. Now, I shared with you 3 insights. And as I mentioned, there's so many more insights that I can share with you why leaders, whether you are a woman in leadership, whether you are a man in leadership, feel uncomfortable with negotiating their salaries. And for those of you who are just joining, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. Let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you are joining from today. And have you ever struggled or felt uncomfortable in a salary negotiation? That is what we're talking about today. I shared with you 3 insights, 3 reasons why people feel uncomfortable in salary negotiations, especially as leaders. The first reason is that we're not comfortable talking about money. The second reason is that we're not comfortable having difficult or more challenging conversations. And the third reason is that we simply have not been trained how to negotiate our salary. Now, if you're watching now, definitely take a look at the replay. We go into a bit of more detail on each of these insights. But as I mentioned, you don't have to be that person that feels like you're all alone when you're trying to negotiate your salary. I don't want you to feel stressed. I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go in here and not negotiate my salary and not be paid what I'm looking for. And then you're having to just modify this and that and change your budget, etc. I want you to be that empowered leader. Whether you are a woman in leadership and you're my direct target audience, I provide executive coaching and consultation services too, or you are a man in leadership. I want you to feel confident. Next time you go into a salary negotiation, I want you to go in there and make things happen. And I will share with you, if you can do this, and I don't say many things like this, but if you can negotiate your salary and learn how to negotiate your salary, I guarantee you this action, this very small moment, or not small, this very brief moment in time will empower you in ways that you will not be able to fathom as you are elevating in your career. Because if you can negotiate your salary, There are so many things that are happening to you in here and here when you're speaking that are going to help you set yourself apart as that person, that leader that stands out from everybody else. Feel free to take a look at a couple of the other live videos on my channel here. Videos, as I mentioned, anything that talks about difficult conversation, controlling your emotions under pressure, and especially salary negotiation. Look at as many videos as you'd like to on my channel. I go into a lot of detail here, and I guarantee you on this YouTube channel specifically, I'm sharing with you strategies as it relates to salary negotiation, not the fluff, not the let me explain to you this method, this particular framework, and etc. I'm sharing with you real, and I mean real strategies that have been successful to not only myself and my clients. I talk about real situations here, not the fluff, not the leadership theories, not the hypotheses. This is not the channel for that. If you really want to dive deep into learn how to negotiate your salary, check out the live videos, check out the videos I have. I have a salary negotiation masterclass you're welcome to take a look at also. And if you want to get that real one-on-one support, then just contact me. If you're a woman in leadership, reach out to me. If you're not a woman in leadership, you're always welcome to leave me a comment in the videos. I will respond to your comments and do a video just for you. You're always welcome to reach out to me at Excite Excellence on Instagram, also at Excite Excellence on Facebook and LinkedIn, and at Dr. Jacinta Lamantai on LinkedIn as well. You're welcome to reach out to me any way that you can here in the virtual world, and I'll provide you with as much insight as I can because I want you to be extremely successful in your next salary negotiation. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.